Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny weapons, abilities, loadouts, and the sandbox at large. And we're doing something a little bit different tonight. Last episode, you may have heard, but we had to let Merc go. Officially fired him from the podcast. We thought it was too weird that we had like a bow main, and he wasn't really a full-time content creator. He had like, what did he call it? Job something? He used a weird word I hadn't heard of before. So we let him go. We wish him the best. You know, he had okay takes. Well, I think he might land on his feet, though. I think he pulled in a job at some gaming company. I don't know. But in the meantime, we are thrilled to be back in live. I'm just kidding. We love you, Merc. And Drew is not here, but we have a special guest joining us tonight. And outside of Bungie devs swinging by to talk about the sandbox, pretty sure this is the first time we've ever had a guest on this show, especially one from the community. So please join me in welcoming Ascendant Nomad.
Hello, everybody. And thank you, Firing Range crew, for having me. Much appreciated.
Anytime, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I am on that content grind. I'm about to finish my cinematic universe entry number 1. Last two videos are pulse rifle videos. Got a third one coming out, so you got to complete the trilogy. So that's my thing. That's what I've been working on the last couple of weeks, and just been enjoying Witch Queen and enjoying the takes on Witch Queen on Twitter.
Can we get a little teaser? Just a little
teaser.
Basically, I'm working on a syncopation video, and I'm arguing that it's average as hell, and you should absolutely have one.
Ah, excellent.
I feel that way about Crate. I like Crate,
yes, man. Yeah.
It's totally average, and yet you should have one.
Yeah, because there's a lot of different combinations with the perks that it has. I have to shout out Cami actually on this one for tuning me on to Frenzy on Syncopation. The things you were doing with it were very, very curious, and I was intrigued, so I tried it out. I realized very quickly I'm not Cami Cakes, so I had a hard time getting it up. Hey. But then
it's family-friendly podcast.
Yeah, family-friendly podcast, of course. But once I did get it up, I had a great time.
I think that's something we can all relate to.
Am I right?
And hipfire grip on a 390 pulse. Wouldn't think it was a thing, but it actually is a thing, and a very big thing. So it's not necessarily a weapon that I would say is meta defining or anything like that. But you know, with seasonal over the course of the season, I'm always an advocate of trying it as much as you can, especially in the wake of an expansion where we've had I don't know how many new weapons have come this Witch Queen. But syncopation is definitely one of them, and it's definitely a very, very good weapon too. So yeah. I want to cover more off the beaten cuff sort of stuff. And if it's a pulse rifle or a fusion rifle or any dad rifle, I'm all for it.
And it's also has a Suros trait, right? It's a Suros pulse,
which is one of the better weapon traits, in my opinion.
So you can get
in many people's opinion.
So you get frenzy, and compulsive reloader together for PvP. Not something I think I'd be recommending, but there we are. It's very, very good.
It makes sense.
Oh boy.
When do we get a video?
When do we get a video from you, Nomad, on the Jaffa Cake meta?
Okay, I'm relocating to Ireland this year if everything goes well. The big problem, the reason why there hasn't been a Jaffa Cake meta video is because Jaffa Cakes are very hard to come by in Toronto without paying, $20 for a small box. So once I go over there, once I'm settled there, then I'll unleash the Jaffa Cake.
But you're a content creator, don't you get those checks from Bungie in the mail?
I do, but they only cover American products, and I have not been impressed by a lot of them.
Aren't we all, buddy? Aren't we all? Well, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for being our first non-Bungie guest. Thrilled to have you here. And yeah, I mean, usually at the end we do the whole thing. Hey, where can the people find you? But just right out the gate, come on, tell the people at home where they can find you. Let's plug the content early here.
Right. So name's Ascendant Nomad, and I'm primarily a Destiny YouTuber. So you can find me on YouTube under Ascendant Nomad. If you like me roasting the piss out of community. I'm on Twitter. I do that a lot, and I also tweet a probably obnoxious amount of Formula One related tweets. So there's that too. So
Fair.
that's where you can find me. I'm also on Discord, discord.gg/SendNomad is the Discord. And yeah, also on Twitch, stream once in a blue moon, and it turns out to be a good time every time I do. So I'm there too.
They call that the cool guy special. When he comes around, it's a good time. Might not always come around, but when he does, everybody shows up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Cammy, how are you?
I'm doing well. I gotta say, to the Ascendant Nomad plug, I watch the videos from time to time. Smooth, silky voice, great presentation. You're missing out if it's not already on the subscription list.
Agreed.
Thank you so
That
much.
is true. That is very
Thank
true.
you.
I mean, I've raided with this guy 3 weeks straight. We're basically blood brothers. So
Yeah, pretty much.
So, there's a couple things we could talk about. We could either beat around the bush, or we could probably just sink our teeth into some juicy community meat. What do you guys want to do?
Let's do a couple community questions and then probably transition into a topic.
Oh, you
That's
want to
my
do
vote.
questions? Cammy is
Yeah,
calling
flip
an
it around
audible.
because with a guest here, we're never gonna get to him. I already know how this is rolling.
That's a really, really good point. We have a couple of questions that I wrote down here. If you boys want to pick out one that maybe grabs your fancy, but if you don't, I'm sure I could find one real quick. Here's a
load the chamber. It's good.
Here's a terrific one from Rich Tierney. Is it true that the perks on fusion rifles make them strong, or are fusions just OP?
Ooh.
I think fusions are just OP. I'm gonna start with that one.
I like this. Cammy, get the ball rolling. Where are we going
So
here?
anytime we bring up this discussion, we gotta ask ourselves, like, what is the target strength for all weapons in PvP? Like, how much farther should special weapons be against other special weapons and against primaries? Fusion rifles are interesting because they cover primary distance for hand cannons, autos, and some SMGs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that already makes them harder to balance in a sense, but
let's take Merc would be very proud of us right now. Why don't we take a very Bungie approach to it?
okay.
According to what we think Bungie has going on in their domes, what is the intended role of fusion rifles in the PvP sandbox? What are they supposed to achieve?
Counter shotguns.
Counter shotguns.
I think that was the initial goal of them, but they've, through a variation of tuning and certain perks that were recently affected, they have taken on this life of their own. And I think they've been strong silently for a little while now, but we're only starting to notice it more because shotguns and slug shotguns by extension got hit with big ease of use nerfs. So their ranges got absolutely neutered, and that only sort of widened the divide between fusion rifles and shotgunners. Whereas before, a good fusion rifle could find success and be noticed, but it was a lot harder because shotguns were very, very strong with their ranges up to 12 meters for slugs, and I think it was 7.5 with
yeah.
Or was it 9? It was 9.
It was hovering around 9 for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect rolls, and now it's down to like 7-ish and a half, maybe 8 if you get a lucky spread or
so
whatever.
Functionally there wasn't a much reason for them to exist other than somebody saying, hey, I feel like fusion rifling somebody today. But now through a combination of Season of the Lost, which was a fusion rifle meta, so they made some changes to it, and they had the whole rework of bringing rapid fires up to 9 bolts, and they basically gave everything a damage buff across the board, so that not only encouraged their use, it also completely supplanted it, and it came in conjunction with the shotgun nerfs. So it kind of like flipped the script completely overnight. And as the season went on, Season of the Lost went on for 5-6 years. We saw people waking up to fusions and using fusions. And it got to a point where the discourse was just like, yeah, use a fusion, don't use a shotgun anymore.
So Cammy, where do you come in with your POV? Let's get the Cammy.
So what is the goal of a fusion rifle? You're supposed to predict where your opponent will be while you charge up, and then snapshot onto them to get a one-hit kill.
Sure.
Or to do a lot of damage at a medium distance. I think that is a little too easy when it's all said and done compared to any of the primaries. I feel like a fusion does that job so well that even if you're caught out in the open, you can still have a better time with the fusion rifle than a primary. Whereas with a shotgun, there is a very clear distance where I'm primary out, where I'm shotgun out, and where I plan to clean up the primary or shotgun. With the fusion rifle, I might as well just put a scout or a sidearm with it because I'm using the fusion for everything else.
Yeah, it's a good point. Here's my spiel with fusion rifles. I feel like there's such a vast middle ground, because when I'm using a fusion rifle with a bad roll, I can go into PvP probably with a shotgun with a bad roll, and just based on playstyle and the intended range where shotguns thrive, like not every time you get a shotgun kill, it's going to be that perfect like 8-meter range, right? Not every time. There's plenty of times where you could just reach out and honk the guy on the nose, and it doesn't matter how bad your shotgun roll is, the guy's going to die. But with fusion rifles, when I have a bad rolled fusion, you really feel the badness of the roll, in my opinion. I feel like it's trying to win a shopping cart race in the parking lot, and you're like, you have 3 wheels instead of 4. But then
a lot of the high impacts are like that.
Yeah,
like the Draconis.
Yeah, the Draconis and stuff like that. Like but that. Then on the high end of fusion rifles, so you the bottom end feels terrible to the point where I just won't use them at all. But the high end feels so good, like so effective that like it just not too much work to charge it up. And even if they're playing, they have to be playing cover perfectly. They have to be like completely peek shooting. They essentially have to kill you first with something. I don't know. They have to kill you first, or they have to bait out your shot behind cover to the point where top level fusion rifles feel super easy, or they up until they still feel pretty easy even with the firmly planted nerf.
Could it be because the characteristics of fusion are a lot more deterministic? You can roll into them, you can spec into them to make them a lot easier to use, whereas shotguns will always maintain that element of RNG due to their nature of how pellet spread works.
Yeah, they both have. Well, that's an interesting point. They both have inherent RNG. There have been times where I've fired a fusion rifle and it's like, oh man, I got a bad bolt kick on that one. It didn't go the way. I missed a bolt or whatever. But again, being able to spec into it so easily with like, oh well, how do we make it bunch together better? Oh, tap the trigger, like under pressure, firmly planted.
Stability masterwork, whatever.
Stability masterwork.
So,
arrowhead break.
So. Ask the question one more time. Ask it one more time.
What role, cool guy, do you think fusion rifles are intended to fill in the meta?
Okay, and then there was something about, is it the perks or the fusion?
Right? Oh, the main question here. Is it the perks on the fusion rifles that make them strong, or are fusions just OP?
All right. You ready for this?
I'm so ready.
You ready? Let's learn something. Let's talk about it. Okay. It's an intern to me, right? What are fusion rifles? They are hit scan. The perks that are good on fusion rifles, what do they give?
Consistency.
Accuracy and stability.
Right? Yeah. So check it out. When you're shooting a fusion, it has a cone, right? It has a cone of damage bullets instead of being projectile. If each one of those projectiles were like in D1, able to be sent out, we wouldn't be having the same issues. We wouldn't.
Oh, God. Someone in my Twitch chat was saying the same thing, and you're right, but like the second that fusion rifles go back to projectile, they are bottom of the food chain. And
that's false. That's false.
Oh, come on, really? You think that's false? No way.
Charge time with a charge time in a way.
You're right.
So it's an intern, right? I don't necessarily think it's not. Since the fusion has a center cone, and you can add accuracy to it. You add accuracy by under pressure, successful or heating up. Whole bunch of things, right? Targeting on your helmet. It's making that bolt just crisp and land effortlessly.
So crisp.
Right? Effortlessly.
Yeah.
And when you get a bad burst, a bad bolt, like a ghost, it's because something happened to that cone on its way down there. Usually it's distance, right?
Sure.
But even sometimes, and also remember, because it's hit scan, it's got that weird thing where like you could sprint cancel it. Like only 2 bullets will hit out of it. So
that's
like
really
I do feel that I always felt, I'm going to ask him one day. It does have a cone, and it's kind of like a pellet shotgun.
Yeah.
That they all get sent individually, but it's back to back to back to back, but very fast. It has to because you can sprint cancel it. But it's the perks because of how fusions are. Like it's an intern, right? So I think it's that question's they got to be together because they're hit scan. If they weren't hit scan, it would lean more to perks. Does that make sense?
Sort of. Yeah.
I don't know. I've always enjoyed fuses, dude. I've used them back in D1, Plan C, right? And remember, like with Plan C, you can actually put on like what was it? You could put it on Thorn or aggressive ballistics, make them do more per bolt, right? You know, the fusions in D2, dude, like they're the best they've ever been. There's been some real low points of fusion rifles, and I mean, dude, no more than 8 months ago, 7-8 months ago, they all had the same range. High impact, rapid fire. It was all capped, right? All capped. They all shared the same space. So, like the issue for me now is when they nerf the aggressives, which I don't really like the higher bolt or the higher damage, lower bolt. Like I don't think that did really good for those. But that made the precisions just kind of rise to the top because they are the most consistent because they have the original 7 bolts, they have all the accuracy perks, and then they buffed them to actually have a design range compared to rapid fires and so on and so forth. But currently, I don't know what they could do, man. Like firmly planted was a big deal because firmly planted gives massive amounts of accuracy, dude. Like even more than tap the trigger. Like I'm like, you can nerf tap the trigger, but right on the other side's firmly planted, right? It's not going to change anything for me. And I've used it. You've used it. I saw your video. It was a great video. Firmly planted's still there, dude, because it gives accuracy. That's the most important thing on a fusion rifle, man. It always has been, right?
They're coming for under the minute that Zura sells a rangefinder under pressure main ingredient, they'll come for that perk next.
It's accuracy, so.
Yeah.
100%. Does this kind of show that they might be changing perks on future special weapons that maybe make them too powerful, like tweaking opening shot on shotguns? I actually think opening shot does work a little bit differently on shotguns.
They'll absolutely have to,
does.
because we're seeing like I don't think we've ever had an issue with firmly planted anything other than fusions.
Never, yeah.
Right, so I could see a world where all the special weapons are getting reined in with individual outlier perks. But overall, I still stand by it. I think that fusions in general are too strong compared to primary weapons and make shotguns, other than maybe like Chaperone, Lord of Wolves, not an option.
Let's remember, for the longest time, shotguns was quick draw, right? You wanted quick draw on the shotgun.
And True Vanguard got that nerfed.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I know that guy. Bob Saget.
Freaking guy.
But
that mother fudger. Sorry, go on.
But you know, it's just so I'm so surprised Bungie hasn't changed things up because like a tale as old as time. Like, what mod do you put on your hand cannon, guys? What mod?
Rigorous.
Okay. Okay. Are we just gonna keep like that's it? Like,
I mean, but the thing is like that's the nature of using a hand cannon, plain and simple. Is it's burst damage and versatility, and I think they're definitely going to be. There's always going to be archetypes and frames that will subscribe to a certain role. The only way you change that and you change the nature of what people put on their weapons is you change the purpose of those weapons. So right now, everything in Crucible is just Slayer. It's a Slayer of variations. And if it's about killing people, then it makes sense to put on a mod on a weapon that helps you be more versatile. So for me personally, I love putting sprint grip on pulse rifles. A lot of them have bad handling. It gives me that snappiness. I save up that I clear up that pulse rifle targeting mod for Kinetic Siphon or the new one that extends the Suro synergy. Some of those extender perks.
Yeah,
for the
that's a nice
trains,
one. Yeah.
Right. So I still get that snappiness in the handling. I don't really care about the aim assist personally. I can hit shots just fine. So, you know, like for me, I'll put those mods to help me be more effective in more situations. If let's say we bring back salvage, for example, where it's all about area denial. Suddenly, having Icarus is not necessarily a priority for me in the hand cannon. Maybe it's if I'm concerned with holding down a zone with my teammates to prevent people from pushing in. Maybe I go with backup mag so I have more shots. Maybe I go with targeting adjuster so that because it gets more tactical. I need to make sure that I give myself the maximum opportunity to put damage in. I think purpose dictates a huge amount as to how people choose to spec their loadouts. There will always be that monkey see, monkey do attitude when it comes to that sort of thing. But I think giving people the opportunity to think about things differently really stems from what it is they're being asked to do, which is to kill people.
Question for the people at home who maybe have not been familiar with your content or potential streams before. Are you, give me a pie chart of your input method for D2 PvP. Are you 100% M&K? Are you 100% controller, 50-50? Nomad.
I am 100% M&K.
Got it. Okay.
But I played Destiny 1 for an extended period of time. Well, I played since the alpha.
Sure.
And I do do a lot of my weapon testing on a controller. But personally, if I'm going in trials tomorrow, then that's M&K.
That's fair. Yeah, I just wanted to it's always important that I check. I don't know. Any other things to talk about with fusion rifles? Does anyone want to play devil's advocate to a Reddit post I saw today, which was essentially being like, oh yeah, fusion rifles are the problem, and then highlighting the total number of kills achieved in trials over the weekend with hand cannons, which essentially dwarfs all other primary usage.
I think they're fine because they drive up social media engagement, which is good for investors.
Anybody? It's kind of a big question, but like,
dude, no. Like I think, man, we talked about it many times. Like we can talk about fusion, we can talk about shotguns. It's special ammo. Like I don't know what they could do. We've talked about it many times, man. The special ammo economy. I don't think that the scavenger nerf did anything. It's like nothing at all, really. Because there's special. Everybody's dropping bricks. You're always getting it.
Yep.
I think that's the next phase, really. Because if it's not a fusion, what's it going to be next week, right? So
first of all, really wish we would have Drew here because Drew always chimes in during the discussion about special ammo. I feel like he's very opinionated about special ammo. But there's actually a part 2 to the question we got from this Rich Tierney fellow on Twitter, the guy who asked the fusion rifle question. Part 2 of this question is, should people stop complaining about special ammo economy before Bungie puts this back into a double primary meta?
They've said they won't do that.
Yeah.
I agree that's a hard stop because, like, one, they've said that, and two, I feel like there's so much middle ground between being like, oh, there's too much special ammo. Oh, I guess our only choice is to go back to year one vanilla.
Yeah, I was about to commune with the spirit of Drewski not here because he'd be saying that exact same thing. There's so nuance.
More
it's not
ground.
You flip a switch. I dislike special. Yeah. Oh, back to double primary.
Yeah, I think we need to try out more things. We need something to happen aside from scavengers being nerfed, because I think that's the only thing that's happened with respect to special tuning since we came back to that.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, sweeping changes, right? So Fusion's got their change, Sniper's got their rechange with their zoom value and aim assist. Honestly, they've all got better some way.
The only change to special ammo that I ever really noticed as a player was whenever it was, I can't remember how long ago, they made the change where the 2 changes they made to trials or whatever, like if you die, you get respawned. If your buddy brings you back to life, you have no special ammo, and then like you don't carry special ammo from round to round. Right. Those 2 I definitely felt, because you could snowball hard before they implemented that. And now it's like I get picked off and I get revived. I'm like, oh man, like I can't use my dead messenger right now. Well, that's the penalty I get for exposing myself and getting picked, or however I died stupidly. But other than that, I've kind of barely noticed the change to special ammo at all. I don't want whatever they do to it, I don't want them to kick it too bad. I know that sometimes we disagree about, what kind of meta we should be in or whatever, but I do think that some of the magic of D2 PvP involves being able to use special ammo to a certain extent. I don't know what that sweet spot is yet. I don't know if I have a personal answer for that or what, but I don't want it to be restricted. I do want it to be looked at for sure. I just don't want it to be restricted too hard to a point where maybe the game feels massively different and less fun. But that could feel different for everybody. My less fun is different from your less fun, different from so-and-so.
I have a bad idea for this.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay. Spawn in with a finite amount of special ammo that cannot be regenerated.
Interesting.
So if
no matter
sniper,
what.
No matter what. Let's say you spawn into control, you get 12 shots.
Fusion reserve meta.
I would use it all immediately.
Just use it and queue up the next match.
Yeah, they just switch to a sidearm.
Yep.
I'd go on my 12 kill streak and then load up the next.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So you got to remember, and I was just kind of listening to you there, Fallout. Like, dude, everyone has their own version of what Destiny is, right? Their favorite Destiny. It could be the House of Wolves meta, and some of you kids out there might not even know what that is. But it could be as recent as the last meta, right? Like there was One-Eyed Mask, there was Wormhusk, there was a Pulse meta, there's a hand cannon meta, there was a sidearm meta back in D1, Iron Wreath, if you guys remember that. And that's kind of the issue, right? Because some people like we read it on Twitter, dude. Some people just want to go in and quote have fun in 6v6. Some people want to go in and just stomp people. It's always going to collide, dude. It's always going to collide.
Always.
And I don't envy Bungie for what they have. Dude, they have a humongous sandbox. There's so much in this game that there's no way you're going to get everybody happy. So I don't know.
Do you know what that makes me think of? The other day, I can't even remember what the context of the tweet was. Oh no, you know what it was about? It was about the Trials flawless pool. But does it really matter what the context of the tweet was? The bottom line was that it was like, people keep asking for this and Bungie refuses to listen to their community. It's like, dude, I could fire up a Twitch stream right now and bring up any topic and the opinions would be just bulleted and different all the way down. I've had people be like, shotguns are fine. I like shotguns. I enjoy it. And then I've had other people be like, remove shotguns from the game. Everybody wants this. It's like, it's impossible to quote, listen to the community when I feel like so many people have different versions of what they're perfect. I bet we could find a handful of people in our live chat right now who would be like, hey, should we remove snipers from the game completely? Type 1 in the chat.
Hey, you can't use invis, by the way. You can't, you know what I'm saying? It just would go on.
Yeah, it's just, of course you can listen to if you were to poll 100% of the community, and it's like, okay, 90% of the people are voting for option A or whatever. Then it's like, okay, well, that would be a very clear indicator of the majority vocal of the community. But I definitely
want to reiterate and hammer in on that. We don't know what our target is, and then to achieve that target, there are so many different tuning dials. Is it potency? Is it easy use? And then we look at primary weapons on the opposite side. Primary easy use, primary time to kill, map design, mode design. What is the mode asking of you? Ability potency, and all that has to work in harmony. Then we have exotic armor pieces, exotic weapons on top of it.
And dust fields. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And everything. Yeah. So, like, are fusion rifles the problem, or there's so many other multifaceted issues that it's just the thing we notice the most right now? And that if they get tuned, it's the next thing.
That line about not knowing what the target is, it's especially clear when I think previous communication from certain Bungie developers was like, yeah, we want to have primary gameplay be the focus, and then we have the Void 3.0 thing drop, and it's suddenly gone. It's like giving us PTSD from Stasis back in the day. And we're just sat here wondering, is Solar 3.0 going to be the same, or is Arc 3.0 going to be the same,
or is it going to be rock paper scissors and they kind of cancel each other out, and then what's left is primary gameplay?
Right, and you have to ask, is there even going to be opportunities in normal game day-to-day gameplay where rock will cancel out paper and paper will cancel out scissors, and then is there still time for primaries to take the stage? And we just don't know, and we don't know what that target is, and we don't know what the overall vision is for the Crucible, and they've never communicated that.
I could also say weapon mechanics itself is a dial they could change. Like with fusion rifles, you might have to commit to the full burst if you tap the right trigger once.
Yeah, it just goes.
Yeah, and at that point, I kind of like their current strength, if that's the caveat, because it's really easy to bait 2 shots if that's what you have to do. But if I can't, I just hear it charge up halfway like 30, 40 times in a row before they finally commit.
Little arbalist action.
Yep.
Don't you speak the name of that gun.
I almost want like a hologram just so they shoot at the hologram. Like, I'll spin part of my super to do it.
Ooh, could you imagine that exotic for a warlock? Send out a hologram. It's a bot. No, it's a hologram.
We're suddenly Mirage.
Isn't there an emote that does that? Hold up, I might just start using that emote.
There's like a duplicate one that like points at each other's like.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna try to get like that duplicate elbow poking out, and they just slide infusion in. Yeah,
here's a question that I'm going to first ask to Cool Guy, which we got on Twitter, but then anyone else can dive in. Here's a question from Aaron Kill. Okay, 3 Laurely Titans versus 3 Renewal Grasp Hunters in Trials. Who wins?
The game would crash. No, that's a good one.
That's a good one, right?
That's a really good one.
I feel like
honestly,
might win. Because isn't it 60 damage? Isn't it like 60 DR versus 20 damage buff?
Dude, I've taken out with the Splendor Helm. I mean, if you use something that has heat in it, dude, if you use like an Ariana's Vow, I mean, it doesn't one tap them, but it does enough.
Throw a little heat in there.
Yeah, to get the second shot. I don't know, dude. That's really that's a really tough one.
That's a good one.
Because they're honestly on the same cooldown. I mean, the Titan barricade's actually the barricade's faster, but the Titan's gonna have to get out of every single dust field. But they have the traveling like 3-4 seconds of Sun Warrior.
That's right.
That'd be an interesting match.
I'm gonna say grasps because as soon as they get close, it's game over.
I would say the grasp too.
They put that
I'm
on
on
you.
team grasp for that one, but I will say the Lorelei helmet in a team setting, not just 3 Lorelei helmets, is probably one of the best picks in the entire game.
That's
so
really
that
strong.
with a renewal grasp team, probably better than 3 renewal grasp.
Grasp team can also use verticality. They can stand on the crystal that they put on the wall.
Yeah, and they get a faster super, which will probably snowball the game out.
I think in a vacuum, the grasp. The only chance that the Splendor Helm would have is if the Titans knew and they played to it hard. They would be backpedaling the entire time, but they could do it. But it would be the grasp, like 99 out of 100.
Definitely winnable for the Titans.
It'd be winnable.
Here's a question from Liam. What would you like to see in Solar 3.0? That's a very open.
Sunspots to get their damage back. Let's start there.
Sunspots get their damage back?
The Blade Barrage knives to not be crap in PvP.
Chalk outline, not chalk outline. Throws the super.
I'm really glad. I was happy for Drew when Drew is Drew still using the BXR like to an unhealthy degree?
Yes.
Okay, well, I remember when Drew first began his love affair with the BXR, and then I caught him using Blade Barrage Hunter unironically, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's actually a good call." That we finally found a use for what's it called, like the knife trick or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty sick interaction with focusing strike on the gloves, because anytime they're burning, you're getting class ability energy back, so you can kind of loop your Gemini Jester and other things like that. So he's throwing the knives to proc BXR, then Gemini dodging, and a couple seconds later getting his dodge back to use the BXR.
I just thought of something I would really love to see. An aspect that gives you some form of like damage buff if you get a knife kill. So then Athros's builds become
interesting.
meta.
That would be nice. I'm guessing that they would change Solar 3.0. The Icarus Dash is going to turn into a Warlock aspect, right? It has to.
It has to. So
because they would either do that or they would completely remove Icarus Dash from the game, which I could also maybe see happening, like a 10% chance, but they would probably understand that would maybe cause a riot because Icarus Dash is 99% the reason that anybody plays Top Tree Dawnblade.
Yep. We can kind of break down. I mean, you can go back into Warmind cells on what those do. I mean, we would have obviously burning, right? And there are different tiers of burn, like the Titan melee from Bottom Tree Sunbreaker. It does like 50 or not 50, like 40 tick damage, dude. Like it lasts forever. But like the Warlock doesn't tick very long. So I would imagine that there's going to be a lot of burning. And I think there could be like healing, right? Because you think of the sunspots with the Lorelei.
Sure.
So hunters would need to get something as well to just make it parity. Give it parity.
Well, that and gunplay, right? Gunplay's knock them down, line them up.
Hunters have the,
Practice makes perfect.
There you go. All that type of junk like that there. Interesting.
I'm guessing you don't like hunters for that.
I do not know. That being said, I play them a lot because they're really good. I'm a Warlock main with, I would say if I had to break it down, it would be like 45% Warlock, 30% Hunter, remaining Titan. What about you, Nomad? What do you play the most? You try to get around?
Hunter for sure.
Yeah.
I think just because there's some weeks I manage to play all 3 characters. There's some weeks that I just don't. So I always start with my Hunter. I've been spending a lot of time on the Titan, quite liking that. And if anything, I play better on the Titan. But again, it's just a case of like thousands of hours on the Hunter and like hundreds of hours on the Titan. So yeah, so I'm spending more time on that. And the Warlock, kind of boring to me.
I mean, it's an acquired taste. The Warlock is like the dark chocolate of Destiny.
Yeah,
it's a lot bitter to people.
I like using Messenger with Kill Clip and Heat Rises on Dawnblade. I think that's fun, but the rest of it is not really to my taste.
If y'all have a spare weekend or two, I'm telling you, dedicate it to Shadebinder. That class is so underrated.
Osmiomancy, dude.
Yeah.
What are you running? Are you running the helmet?
It sounds like the most like basic bitch Starbucks and Uggs, but I run Ophidian Aspect. My reasoning is because I want the melee lunge, because catching a freeze is so difficult. I'm actually going to start trying it with glaives sooner than later, because I can build up the glaive shield for free on a frozen target, which then for my second kill might work.
Yeah, I've been playing more with our good friend Time, and like, dude, he's gone like 100% into the play of. He's gotten so good at it too, of intentionally freezing people by dropping a rift. Like, the timing is so good, and he figured out. I had actually heard nobody talking about this, but the timing of the freezing other people with the empowering rift is quicker than with the healing rift.
It's a faster animation.
Yeah, so he totally just leans into that, and he gets so aggressive with dropping empowering rifts, like right on people, right when they play. Like, he'll play it on the corner. So like, if on Jav 4 people are coming through like the diamond door near where like the overtime territory is, like that's like, he caught so many people in that area with just like, because you can do like a sliding. Sometimes you can like move into the rift a little bit if you play it the right way, if you do it quick enough, like slide into a rift. Yeah, he does that really well. But
that's my pick for both Invis and Renewal Grasp and Barricades. I mean,
it's stasis, dude.
It handles all the meta right now, and it's the funniest thing. They'll like toss a Renewal Grasp on you, bet the whole farm, and you're like, "Oh no, call an ambulance!" Hits the rift, but not for me.
Not for me,
dude. It dump trucks him, dude. It dumpsters Void.
Good, man.
I can't believe it.
And so Ophidians give you that longer lunge, so you just pop them with your special ammo and get the like Synthosep lunge into the finisher. Even through damage resistance, nothing they can do about it.
This is not a question, but like, I've just been riding this train so hard. I used it all last Friday on Jav 4 and just had the best time. Is anyone else unironically really enjoying the Dead Messenger?
Yes.
It's really good.
It's fun. It's people don't expect it. It's just
they don't.
That cone of damage spread
so good.
is ridiculously big.
Yeah, it's very wide. No, you can't. Like, I've always enjoyed the wave frame launchers, but the Achilles heel is that like you have to be so big brained about it, and it's all or nothing. And it's like if you don't hit them in that perfect straight line, then
if they have a modicum of self-awareness, it's gone.
I want to see a triple kill on 3 different lines. That would be sick.
So I got a double this past weekend. 2 guys were running away. I did like a 7-10 split and got a double and like popped off. But yeah, the triple would be hilarious. But it's so much. It's just so free. You barely have to aim. So like, I was just jumping in with. I mean, you could do hand cannon. You could SMGs pair really well. You just quick fire and then like hot swap into whatever your primary is and just spray them down. Like, they just don't have a chance. Like, it's obviously not a weapon without weakness. Like, you know, there's times where you're of course going to get outplayed. It's difficult to deal with people who spend a lot of time in the air. If you just don't time it right, you'll just get shotgun down, whatever.
It has fighting line cult potential.
Yeah. I do get a little bit irritated that I have to reload the grenade launcher manually. Really don't like that. I'm so used to using grenade launcher. I mean, I rarely use grenade launchers in PvP, but when I do, they all come equipped with auto-loading holster because that perk is OP. But if you can just get beyond the fact that you have to reload it manually, it's very enjoyable.
I've been on the explosive personality train, dude. That thing's nuts.
That's probably because you have an explosive personality.
And I have it. I've been running it with my surplus kill clip Loud Lullaby. And dude, like, I enjoy, because we haven't had a waveform with Disruption Break until now, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know if we have that.
I don't think we have.
Interesting point. If so, I can look it up right now.
If we did, it was at the cost of auto-loading holster, which is maybe why people didn't run it.
Yeah, so, and dude, that thing's craftable. You can get auto-loading Disruption Break. But with that thing, dude, it is so much, it's so easy compared to True Teller, dude. A Disruption Break tube. Because it's on the ground. You can bait corners. You can be in the air, throw it down. And with that 120, that Loud Lullaby, dude, it's 75 to the body. So the waveform does 130. Their disruption broke, so their shields are broke. 75 to the body, and then I surplus go into kill clip, start 2-tapping, dude. It's amazing.
Sounds like a wicked combo.
Correction, I was wrong. That is the first.
Yeah,
first wave frame disruption break.
It wasn't on Martyrs and it wasn't on Deafening Whisper.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it next week, dude, because there's some cool things you can do with it, man.
I would be interested in watching that video.
Yeah, and I'm going to, because dude, that thing's pretty jacked, dude. It also has golden tricorn. So like the Lorelei Titan, it's really, really good.
Oh, that's an interesting combo. I very rarely find consistent uses for golden tricorn.
It's a PvE perk.
Yeah.
I have gotten the 1K. That thing will body shot with golden tricorn. So.
So if we're talking golden tricorn, I want that auto rifle. I think it's Come to Pass or one of those.
Yeah.
It's the high impact arc auto. I just want to get golden tricorn 1, throw a flux grenade, and then have trace rifle primary. It's gonna be sick.
I did get the summoner.
Oh, you're right. That does have it.
Oh, you did.
Throwing knife.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's dynamic swag with elemental capacitor or golden tricorn.
Oh, not bad, not bad. I got a roll on that too. I don't think it was very good, but I'm keeping it in the old Postmaster.
Are you all aware that Fortissimo, the new Vanguard,
Adagio?
I say new, Adagio, yes.
I did, yeah.
I knew exactly where you're going with that, dude. Oh,
it's not okay.
Power creep the weapon.
Yeah, it's so you saw that video as well. The only thing negative about that is that it's a playlist weapon, so you can't target farm it. You can only hope for the best. But if you get one,
oh god.
And you get one with Feeding Frenzy or Threat Detector or anything like that in the third column. Like, there's so many good perks with Fortissimo. I'm surprised.
Let me guess, because Fortissimo is a playlist weapon. It's got
is it a super pool?
Yeah,
14 perks,
12
column
and 12.
3, column 4. Yeah. You got to be kidding me with that, man.
So you can get Steady Hands and Adagio with that. So you can have OG Quick Draw.
Oh, that's
the dream.
Interesting.
That would be the dream. But good luck getting that roll, you know?
You can have
I recommend Blasphemer over it.
Challenge accepted.
It's easier to get Blasphemer than that.
Yeah, but Blasphemer doesn't have Adagio.
That is true.
Yeah, but Adagio doesn't have like the icicle shotgun. If you put a good shader on Blasphemer, looks like you're harnessing the powers of stasis in your shotgun.
That's true. I suppose drip is more important than Adagio at the end of the day.
Drip and aim assist.
That's right.
Doing strikes later, boys. Let me know.
Yeah, I might have to do a few. Freaking A. Here's a question that I'm going to throw directly at Nomad. It's kind of a softball question here. From Frankenberries on Twitter. Topic: what defines cheese in PvP?
Why is why are you doing this to me?
Why is a shotgun or a sniper okay, but a fusion or grenade launcher is not?
I mean, this is the thing, is like everybody has a definition of cheese in their heads. They set that boundary for themselves. Everybody's definition of what cheesy is different. And because everyone's definition of it is different, it's fundamentally artificial. I don't think there is such thing as cheese, personally. I think it's just about what you personally consider to be a violation of the rules of the game in your head. So if you think fusion rifles are cheesy, great. I'm going to use one to kill you. If you think shotguns are cheesy, fantastic. I mean, this is going back to an old video I made on scrub mentality, and I think Fallout, you've made one. Cam, you've talked about it extensively. Cool guy, wouldn't be surprised if you talked about it as well. At some point, all of us PvP content creators, we come across this topic and we make a video on it. Just like we make videos on like 1v1 trash talkers. It's like a rite of passage. But for me, you know, whatever is cheesy in your head, it's like, you know, I'm not going to tell you how to think, and I'm not going to tell you how to go about your opinions on PvP. But personally, I think we have a really, really fun sandbox. We have a really fun game, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't explore it all.
That's a very open-minded take that I completely expected from you, which is why I gave you that question. Yeah, I think I saw recently you mentioning. You made a video on it, didn't you? The David Serlin, the topic of playing to win. Fantastic book. Recommend people read it. But yeah, cheese. I think you nailed that. I think cheese is different depending who you ask. I could probably ask people, be like, shotguns are cheesy, right? And they're like, no. And then other people are like, get that trash out of here.
Yeah,
I could probably fire
bow
up
swap. A lot of people think that's cheesy.
bow swap. Yeah, I could fire up trials and bring in Cammy and Drew on my team, and they'd be like, Fallout, you're cheesing right now, bro. That's just cheese right there.
It's like half of Reddit thinks hand cannons are cheesy, and they look at the statistics for usage every week, and they're saying, look at the hand cannons. And then I made a video last year about why hand cannons will always be meta in some form or the other, and it was to do with the versatility of the application of hand cannons. And people, the comments on that were just negative. They're just like, I'm so sick of hand cannons. I wish they would go away. I think they're cheesy. I think they're broken or whatever. It's just like people will have their own definitions of it, and I think that's fine. You define what your definitions are and live your life.
Now,
you stop playing if you don't like it.
I do believe that the hand cannons do flinch you a little too much compared to other weapons.
Dude, Ace in particular is brutal. Even if I'm not, you know how Ace has that distinct audio cue, that pa-chink, pa-chink, pa-chink. even if I'm playing with my headphones off and I'm getting shot by hand cannon and I'm flinching, I'm like 100% Ace, and then I die and it's like, oh goddamn Ace. But oh man, what was I saying? Okay, right. So even though I do agree with you, Nomad, so I thought it was a great question to quickly bring up and talk about. Everyone has their own definition of cheese. I feel like sometimes people hear me talk about that and they get confused. I think they feel like I say things like that, and then it's like, oh, so you're okay with everything in the sandbox, or like you're not, like you're not angry when you get killed. I'm like, no, when I get killed by a monarch, I hate getting killed by a monarch. It's one of the most upsetting things to me. When I get killed by a Jotun or something, I'm like, god damn it. Or like especially when the Lorentz driver came out, I was like, F this gun. I hate it so much. But at the same time, I understand why another player would use a Lorentz driver. I understand why another player would use the Monarch in the umbrella, in the vein of playing to win. If you're going into trials and your goal is to go to the lighthouse, I'm not going to, I mean, I can personally get salty about whatever loadout you feel like you're going to bring in, because it might be something that annoys me, but I'm not going to DM you when the game is over and say, take that loadout off, you bitch. Like, it's like a no skill, whatever. Cause like, I don't know. It's annoying to me, could be fun to the other guy. It doesn't mean that I'm cool with everything in the game. It just means that, like,
so to build off that, like, cheese itself, like, I don't like using that word because it comes with connotations that severely limit the discussion that can be had about something. Cheese generally as a term tends to be quite negative, and it comes with connotations of like broken or overpowered or something like that. Like, I think you in this sort of like the zeitgeist of talking about different weapons and abilities, I think you could make an argument to say fusion rifles are cheesy. You could 100%.
Of course, you could make that argument. Yeah.
For me personally, I'm going to go the Cameron, and I'm going to say they're really strong right now, and they probably should get a little bit of a check. I would rather lead a conversation like that rather than saying they're cheesy and you're a bad person, and I hope you step on a Lego.
That type of, like, it does nothing. We're not doing anything with that conversation, No,
yeah.
And I've always been, I mean, if it's in the game, it's fair game, right? If they choose to do something about it, then that's when that happens, but it's not now, right?
The onus is, it's always been like, especially after reading the David Sirlin book, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, the onus is on the game developers to provide us with balanced options. I'm not going to send hate mail to a guy who killed me with the Lorentz driver. I'm going to grit my teeth and be annoyed that that gun is still so strong, but I understand why he's using it. And I'm, of course, open to the conversation of, hey, let's talk about maybe why we should throw the Lorentz driver into the back of a wood chipper.
We've been in this community so long, we're just tired of that conversation. So I think we're all there. But for me, it's just knowing when to step away from the game, because I know the scrub mentality. I know what to do to win almost every scenario in Destiny. But when winning becomes boring to me or not fun, that's when I turn it off.
That's a very Cammy thing. That's like Cammy when we were playing on back when we did a lot of Stadia trials, when the PC cheating was like rampant. I think there were always times where we would try to just use like fun off topic or like whatever silly loadouts that we would get goofy with, and then like when the other team would start going super We're like, okay,
Chaos
they're
Reach
going
to
like
zone.
they're
All right,
going like
guess I got a
MLG
Chaos Reach to
tournament. We're like,
zone.
oh, we got to change the loadout or whatever. It's like, damn it. They're forcing us to. Oh man, that was the worst. Was when we were when the meta was.
Sit in the back with Chaos Reach. Don't
Yes,
pick
the,
anything.
the
my
Chaos
God,
Reach
that
meta was by
sucks.
far the worst because
So
like,
that's what playing to win is at that point. Like, don't be a
Yeah.
scrub. You're a scrub if you push forward and fight with a gun. Sit in the back and charge your super. That's the best way to win.
We
That's
did-
not fun.
We did
God.
Ion. We did.
Ion Dynamo.
oh my god, it was so bad. The
I
dynamo,
was
like
so mad that
literally,
those were buffed, quote unquote. But
Cammy and I, oh god, it's so bad. Yeah, it's like you never want to get it. You never want it to reach that point. Obviously, you want a better sandbox, like when everything is more balanced or whatever. I never want to see myself going back to like, all right, Cammy, put on your threat detector grenade launcher, and when it activates, let's double dynamo pop rift through
every
a
time I
wall.
get a rift with Dynamo, everyone in
So
the chat's like,
bad.
"Let's fucking go."
Oh boy, but yeah,
But y'all are right. It is all perspective. Like, I think the most
Yes.
recent one that has made me think about it is Invis. Is Invis the cheesy thing, or is the radar the cheesy thing?
Let's talk about that,
Or
because
is the
between the
game
last
mode-
episode we talked about Invis, and then they made a change to it after the last
Mhm.
episode went live, right? So can you speak for Drew? Not 100% Cammy, but I know that Drew
Not 100%.
not
You would say
100%,
things
but
differently.
maybe paraphrase the Drew POV, because I think Drew mentioned on Twitter he was willing to, he's like, okay, I understand that they changed camo. I don't think they changed the right thing about it, but he was willing to give it a try. Do you remember his perspective?
Okay,
on
so
the
I'm
camo
gonna
change?
try to boil this one down.
Okay, sure.
Invis is about going off the radar to get a flank, so that if someone is just looking at the radar with a red glint scope or a fusion rifle, they don't
Mhm.
immediately pre-fire you, and you can kind of collapse with your team simultaneously.
Okay.
If Invis pings every 3 seconds on the radar, you can't realistically flank. You can't get around the map in time, even on Endless Veil.
Right.
So the only thing you can realistically do is just peek at an awkward time on a lane that they already know you're there.
I think you're right. So Drew's main reason for leaning into camo was because Drew's always been a big fan of radar manipulation. Big fan.
But that's
why-
also part of the map and the mode, maybe, is also the issue. The fact that there's not an objective, people sit, they wait on their super,
That
they
is
wait for
true.
a special ammo pick, and
Yeah.
Invis lets you be the aggressor. The thing that changed was it killed the flank playstyle. What stayed in place was the fly at them and special weapon joust, because it only takes 3 seconds to fly at them with Stompy Hunter fusion rifle. It only takes 3 seconds, so that never changed. So the
That is
problem
true.
part of the Invis stayed there, but the cerebral skill intensive part, in my opinion, got killed.
How do you guys feel
Because
about that? Do you
If
feel like
two teams are doing the same Invis thing, it's such a mental game of having to keep a read on them. You're using your sound cues, you're using the map flow and the objective to be like, if I was Invis, where would I logically be right now to help my team? And then in a gunfight, you want to immediately snap on that other angle and just delete the Invis. Or you want to run from them to make them have to give it up. Or you set up a turret. Or you put a Wither Horde down, a slow grenade, something to cage them off. I used explosive knives and swarm grenades to deal with Invis whenever I played Gunslinger. Gemini to take away their radar so they can't see. There were a lot of answers, but all of that meta we developed and scrimmed against each other, that went out the window as soon as Invis got changed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any thoughts
But
from Cool
again-
Guy or Nomad on the topic of camo?
I can't argue anything Cam says. Like, personally, my experience with Invis hasn't been supremely frustrating. I haven't played perhaps as much Trials as Cam has up until this point. I got my flawless and basically got out. So
Nice.
for me, I haven't played against the really like aggravating teams that you would find in a flawless pool on Sunday.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, my opinion of it is lacking. But I do find it a little annoying that it doesn't go away when you shoot them.
Now, I will
my
say,
contribution.
Hmm.
there's a part of the nerf that I didn't immediately catch, which is crouching will skip the first radar ping of the 3 seconds, and you'll get 5.8 seconds of invisibility.
Yeah.
If
Which
you're
means that
crouching
now-
right on camo activation?
Correct. It's like
Okay.
a second and a half after camo activations. You can kind of get a running start and slide into it, and then you have about 5 seconds to play with. And that's a lot better than 3. So you can still make plays, but as usual, it's plays with the special weapon.
Right.
My only thing's the opacity.
Have you seen the Stadia time tweets of all the Invis?
He's really mad about it.
I do think that they could be a little bit easier to see. And it's only on certain maps, really. Like I've noticed the vibrant maps are where it hurts you. Like I don't have any issue on like Asylum, like a dark map, and those like I'll see them in there. But you know the vibrant endless veils.
It's an interesting. I was thinking about that the other day because personally, I can only speak for me. When I play most of the time, I don't really have that difficult of a time seeing them on my screen. But then again, I have a really dope monitor. I have a really baller streamer station that I sit right here in front of my monitor. There's probably some dudes out there who are playing with, you know, less good equipment. Maybe there's a couple of couch gamers out there, you know, like they're watching a TV. It's like that could be really difficult to see. So it might be different, but yeah, some people time really going to bat for how potentially frustrating it can be to visually locate a camo player.
It makes me excited for what Arc 3.0 is going to be. Seeing some changes to Invis. Even if I'm not like a direct fan of them right now, I could see Arc 3.0 having some interesting implications with having every class have flashbang grenades and then comboing something like Gemini Jester on top of that. Like I'm excited to see what the next level is of radar manip.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the one reason that I'm looking forward to Arc 3.0, or the number one reason I'm most looking forward to Arc 3.0?
Let's hear it.
My elemental capacitor Ragnhild D sitting in the postmat or in the vault, like, yes, good handling buff out the wazoo. I'm just so ready to. I love elemental capacitor shotguns on Arc. I really, really love them. It's just a shame. Most of the time I play. Lately, I've been playing a lot of Void 3.0, or I play Top Tree Dawnblade, both which sort of don't really care at all about elemental capacitor. But Arc
get those reloads in, bro.
Those clutch shotgun reloads, baby. They don't know about my elemental reload speed.
Yeah, I even crafted it with a reload masterwork, dude. No big deal.
God, savage. All right, what other questions do we have here?
Yeah, sorry to go on that big tangent.
Dude, tangents are what this show is all about. It shows the difference.
Like, what is the cheese? Is it even worth arguing, or should you just stop playing when it's not fun?
So as far as the cheese, like when we play, dude, I have 2,700 kills on my counter for Lawrence Driver. I do not care.
You sick animal.
I do not care. And it's almost like, you know, like when we play trials, dude, like especially when it was hot, there'd be two of them. It's like it's kind of like you know. You pull your queen a little bit early. All right, I'll put mine on. I'll show you what it's all about. I'll show you what I do. So
that's a good way of putting it. Here's a question from Tony Hartle on Twitter. Thoughts of the reworked... Oh, no, that's a different question. Sorry. Here's one from Hey Blaze. I read one paragraph up. Do you guys have any other ideas for trials and or elimination variants for Bungie to try in Crucible labs, like a capture zone trials?
Was it Nomad with the PTR tweet?
Yes.
Yeah, expand on that.
We need a PTR. We need a public test region. That's what it stands for. And basically, it's like a permanent thing that is, or not a permanent thing, but it's a mode or a node under director that opens up for a certain period of time, a time which suits Bungie. It could be midweek, could be on the weekend, and that should have really wacky game modes. Like I think you could start small. You could have no radar trials. You could have, you could bring back salvage for trials. You could have skirmish for trial or clash for trials, like 3v3 clash as a trials game mode. You could do so much with that game with just having a node that's different, and it's like, hey, this is the wacky playlist. Come hang out. And you know what? If you do, if you come to it, we'll give you double the drops, double the rep. We'll give you a seal as well. Why not?
Give them an emblem, like hey, here we did the skirmish weekend on the PTR. Right. Give them a skirmish emblem or something.
And most importantly, run it in tandem with the normal playlist so that people can choose what they want, what kind of experience they want. I think one issue Crucible suffers greatly from is that people don't really have that choice. You have control, then you have whatever the 6v6 rotator is, which is either Scorch, Mocon, or Clash, right?
Yeah.
And then you have your choice between Elim and Comp, and then you have Rumble. And it's like, there's not a lot of variety there. You only have one solo playlist, you only have two 3v3 playlists, and you only have two 6v6 playlists. And it doesn't allow for a lot of variation in sort of the experiences you have. I think the wildest game mode we have is Scorched, because it's like completely different.
The highest skill mode, to be honest.
The highest skill mode. There you go.
That skill gap for real this time.
Yeah.
I'd like for them to stray from elimination.
Yes. Yeah. Me too.
Tinker around with some true objectives.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean they can't bring it back, but
Yeah,
I think it's, especially on the weekends, it's worth exploring.
Yeah, I need to put it out there. Obviously, I'm not a game dev, so our plea for a PTR could be along the lines of like, why don't we just have a 12-course breakfast every morning? Like, I don't understand. I love
another
breakfast.
Another thing to maybe also, we don't have the data. We can only guess this based on our own subjective experiences. Is what does more playlists do to the population? Does it split the population too much? My personal take on that is make them worth playing, and people will show up.
100%. People will do anything if the reward is good enough. They will go 100%. Through fire.
Like
bottom dollar.
Bottom dollar.
God damn it.
double GM Nightfall drops.
Yeah.
Just soloing.
Let's go dredging.
I think
dredging, brother. You just standing there, cool guy.
A lot
How
of
about a little
fears,
damn it?
Sorry. A lot of the fears with split populations definitely stem from a time when skill-based matchmaking was in effect, and we had we had long queue times, and we had for everybody it would seem. And then during some of the darker metas and the darker periods of Destiny, where it just wasn't a fun game to play, so there was less population, and then people were talking about splitting populations then.
Yeah.
I feel it when Iron Banner's out. I really do.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Iron Banner is the sexier playlist. Sorry. When
by far, it's
the
by
more
far the sexiest.
quote unquote rewarding. Spends 2,000 tokens on a multi-mod, doesn't get it.
The Iron Banner is, even though you're right that the drop rate is just bad, it's sort of like if I gave somebody like a bag of, like a laundry bag of like quarters, and it's like, hey, the slot machine's in town. They're like, really? Like, it's just the thrill of maybe I could get that god roll, and you get free pinnacles for it. And
have we talked about the Iron Banner weapon perk this season?
Oh no,
the one where you're off radar when you have a.
Yes.
I haven't actually tinkered with that yet.
Okay, I wanted to just mention it on the podcast. No, it's so underwhelming. It never even came up once for me.
That's a shame.
Okay, so the way the perk works is you need a triple cap to proc the hunt. Then you need to get a kill, and during the hunt, you are off the radar.
So you need to get a kill, and then the perk procs. It doesn't proc. I thought it procced when you got the triple cap.
Triple cap, then a kill.
Triple
then you're
cap,
off radar
and then
for
a
a
kill.
little bit.
It's good on like Cauldron, but like you don't need your radar on Cauldron in 6v6. You just don't.
Well, that sounds better than Zero Synergy to me. I don't know about you guys.
I'll give Iron Man Twitch TV in the chat. I'll give him a thumbs up there. At least the effort is there. I think it's a cool idea for sure to be like, hey,
they
we
can
have
be built
unique weapons. Why don't we give them unique benefits for the activity that they're tied with? I think that's a great idea.
What if they for Cabal Banner next season, right? When that's happening.
Oh, right.
Why don't when you capture all three zones, you get everybody's name gets changed to Valis.
I'm down with that. We might be losing Cool Guy on this one. He's usually like miles. Are you caught up in the storyline right now?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. He's no idea what we're talking about.
You know that like playlist that you farmed for peace of mind. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's like words and stuff that you should listen to.
We'll get you hooked up with a bite video. We'll get you all caught up with. There might be some interesting lore changes which might drip into PvP land, or at least what we kind of. I think it would be interesting if that were to happen. I don't know, but we'll get them caught up. Looking to see if there's any other super interesting questions here that we got from Twitter. I mean, you always drop great questions on us, and we appreciate it. But what are the super interesting ones? Here's one from Jaiko. And this is great because we have both controller and M&K players here. Name some high skill, high reward options for players to gravitate towards. I'm assuming they mean for PvP.
Last word, MNK.
Last
All right,
word.
I'm gonna go a little bit against the question and say instead of like high skill as in mechanical dexterity, I'm gonna go with knowledge gap. Ozymancy gloves and warlock. Learn where to throw turrets over the map. It will pay its weight in gold to be able to have a turret behind him all the time.
Funniest shit ever. I'm gonna piggyback right on those goddamn coattails, Cammy, and go to the time where we really, this was in the Chaos Reach meta, when we tried to counter people who were Chaos Reach camping. We went into a private lobby, and for like half an hour, we were literally practicing angles for how to shoot Wither Horde over the middle part of Distant Shore. So when people were like just refusing
running into the wall, running into the wall.
When people were just refusing to challenge, we were literally finding like the wackiest angles. Be like, okay, territory pops up in 3, 2, fire, and then like the Wither Horde would go up, and then all of a sudden just be like damage tick, damage tick, damage tick, damage tick, like double kill. Like go.
The funniest part is when we got a third that we normally didn't play with, and they're like, "Come on, guys, we got to go to the zone." I'm like, "Nah, it's fine.
No, we're good. We don't got to go nowhere. We know the angles. That'll be mine for usually learn like crazy Wither Horde angles, which is really funny.
Oldie but a goodie, especially in light of Solo 3.0, is Monte Carlo Athrasis. Start getting good with it now, because I'm sure it'll get even better.
Absolutely.
The Monte Carlo.
Yeah, because with a Markov chain. Kills, recharge your melee. You get your knife back, use Athrasis, bounce it off three different surfaces, get that kill. Joe, if you
Jingleheimer do some crazy stuff with that.
Jingle is nutty with those knives. Yeah.
So have you all paid attention to Hawkmoon DMT rolls from Zur? Go on, cool guy.
Not so that retraced path with Golden Tricorn and the Athrasis, because with the trace rifle, dude, it's instant. As soon as you tag him, it's max time for Athrasis. Get a kill, one shot throwing knife, then it's Golden Tricorn on that thing. It's awesome.
I was gonna say these Zur rolls are amazing lately. They had a perfect, if not near
for
perfect Hawkmoon twice in a row.
They've been pretty good.
For Hawkmoon, had a snapshot DMT last time. Yeah. So both of those weapons are amazing for breaking stalemates, because it's okay if the enemy runs from you 10 times in a row, eventually you're building up the Hawk, so you'll get your one hit. That's why I recommend that weapon if you want like the mechanical skill intensive one. Just keep landing headshots forehead.
Something to test your playstyle flexibility is using Lumina with Wall of Radiance. I'm not and what's the assembler?
Assembler.
That's the one. Create a build like that, start healing people, because again, that's something that's going to get even more potent with Solo 3.0.
Cammy, have you used new Lumina? Because they buffed it, right?
I haven't used new Lumina yet. I know it's still good. I haven't had an option to really play my Warlock under Assembler. My friend Glow has started playing Assembler, but he doesn't use Lumina with it. He still uses DMT.
Is there a unique trials going on this weekend, or is it regular trials?
I am not sure.
Do you want to do a card, Cammy? And you want to tinker around? I'll do it if you want. You can do it. Tinker around with like Lumina, because I haven't used new Lumina yet, but I know that last time.
Do you want to know why I don't use Lumina right now?
Do tell, please.
It's because there's this Titan helmet that was kind of busted from the start, and then it got buffed to be even better.
You know what you need to use with certain helmet that shouldn't be named? And I know Monarch's good. Wishender.
Oh, yeah. That's an interesting option. I didn't.
You didn't hear it. You didn't hear it from me.
No,
I definitely did.
The dogs. I just use Lawrence. I don't overthink it. Drag everybody into the sunspot. Shout out to Uber.
Wait a minute.
I'm getting block TV from watching this, because
go ahead. What's up?
He'll see it and we'll get it banned.
Yeah, get him banned, bro. I believe, Cammy, according to the chat, it might be zone capture trials this weekend.
Ooh.
That's the best trials.
That's my favorite trials. Dude, that sounds like a dead messenger weekend for me, baby.
So here's the thing again. It's like, now the purpose of what we bring into the Crucible will be engineered for. I mean, you could definitely go out and slay people within the first 10 seconds. That's fine. But something like Loyally becomes really, really important to have as an option to consider, because it's about area denial, plain and simple.
Oh yeah, because then that way, if the zone's up and it's like normally the game plan when I see a Lore Elite Titan is like, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, you're getting dust fielded.
That's SpongeBob being, all right, I'm gonna head out. I see the Titan behind his little rally barricade with the fire.
Are going to be number one, but I also think that Void 3.0 Warlocks are going to start having overcharged Vortex nades instead of the normal Axions now.
Yes. That will be true. Wow, that might mean a very interesting weekend. But if anyone here is down, I'm around for Lumina experimentation or whatever you want to get down with. I think that could be pretty fun.
That might wait for after zone control weekend for me. The Lumina stuff. Because it's really good for breaking stalemates when you could just shoot people in the leg. Because
that is true. And zone trials will naturally resolve itself one way or not. One way or another.
It's going to be a lot faster.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Lumina is for punishing people who sit back a little bit too far.
Let's do one more question. And here's one from Jake Parker. I know that guy. With Rift returning to PvP eventually, how confident can we be that the season it drops could be a PvP focused season players wanted?
You never know.
You don't know, and we don't have much of a track record to go off that, to be honest.
That is true.
The thing is, though, dropping a completely brand new game mode, the only thing we can think of is like Season of the Wordy when Trials came back. And that resulted in a pretty sizable shift in the meta. And, Trials came back. It wasn't a great success, but Trials came back. And I think, it would line up with the timeline that Joe Blackburn posted last August now. Jesus. That he was talking about spinning up teams for Crucible and getting more game modes and maps and everything involved. So I think that would be, I think bringing Rift back will signal the beginning of something more substantial to be coming more consistently. But I don't know if we're going to have a season of the Shacks.
Right. I think that's I think
season of the Red Jacks.
Season of the Red Jacks, baby. I think they're just going to slowly put more and more people on it because I think you're right. When I'm trying to remember all the information from that Jogaroth tweet and/or post or whatever it was.
That would also be the thing that's most in line with how they're dealing with the live service model as well. The seasonal model is just they keep adding things over time. They refine things over time instead of just dumping everything all at once. Test it all out. Because if you hype up a season of the Crucible, right? Two things happen. First of all, nobody believes you.
Fair, yeah.
Secondly, you put a whole lot of undue expectation. Like it would literally be make and break for a lot of people. And I know that's
somebody call Shackle.
Yeah,
it's make or break.
It's a big meme. but with PvP, it really is like we're past the breaking point in a lot of respects. So hyping it up to be this big thing is probably not the play from a PR perspective. Slowly building it up quietly, confidently with releases that are sound and interesting. I think that's a smarter
play.
Move. Yeah.
Here's the one thing that I don't want to have happen, which I'm pretty sure is going to be unavoidable. Whenever we do get beloved Rift returning to the game, we're going to be a lot of people like, oh yeah, so we're in a shitty PvP meta and they think that bringing back Rift is going to fix everything. It's like, no, I don't think that's what they thought. Like, oh, they're complaining about PvP. Give them Rift. that'll hold them over. No, it's a fun game type, and it's like, is it the most competitive game type ever? No, but then again, Destiny's not a tournament PvP game, and
what
I
people need to
enjoy
remember.
Rift. I think it's fun.
Gaming's supposed to be fun. That's why we do it.
Get out of here, cool guy.
Right? I mean, dude, it's got to be said. It's got to be said.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I really like Rift. It was a fun game type, and there's like a lot of people out there who've never experienced it. And I don't know. It's not like hardcore objective, but it was different enough that it was fast paced. I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun, but it had a little bit of a gambit problem where there were a dedicated few who knew how to play it and what to do and how to set up, and then the rest just didn't know what to do. And I just remember really long queue times at the end of Destiny 1 or 3 for Rift. That's what I remember the most. There would be like daily bounties or weekly bounties from Shacks about Rift, but the playlist never held a consistent population.
I just remember people going in Rift and not playing Rift. They just used it as control but longer.
Yep.
Control but longer.
Gotta pad those stats, bro.
Yeah, how else are you gonna pad
My
those
elo.
My
I think the real thing is that we need to. I'm not even going to ask you all what you think because I know you agree with everything I say. They have to bring back SRL. There's no argument. It's just the game will be perfect. Bring back SRL.
It's a good crossover because Formula One is now more popular than ever in America, and you just make it an F1 thing. There you go.
Exactly.
Get that Ferrari sponsorship. Hell yeah.
And I'll crush all you degenerates in SRL because I'm a god, and then we have a new pecking order, and then the game is perfect.
I can't wait.
And we get to talk shit.
Yeah.
Like low KD, it's like low KD, okay.
Dude,
but what's your record time on Torbital, the capital city of the Cabal?
I cannot wait to start beef between all three of you for SRL. It's like,
bro,
Cammy Stride's the best? No, I don't think so.
Hard in SRL, you've no idea, bro. No idea.
We're gonna be talking before the podcast starts, Paul. It's gonna be like, I saved about 1/10 of a second on that ramp I found yesterday.
Oh, God.
I can already see the attack ads. Like Fallout claims that he has the fastest time in the world. But did you know he doesn't like chocolate?
Dude, I used to have literally I would compete with my fiance and like it would get to the point where our track times were so perfect that like I would know 10 seconds into a race that like if I made a bad first or second turn, I'm already not on par to break my best time, and I would just quit. Like I would take 2 turns, someone would bump me off course, and I'm like, I'm not gonna beat my best time, so I just quit. But then you would load in. That's the best part about SRL. So you can quit, load into a new game. You can't join on SRL game in the middle. That's physically impossible. You always join right at the beginning, fresh start to SRL.
You know what's gonna happen though is that one raid sparrow that goes faster. There's gonna be like this SRL god who doesn't use that sparrow and like doesn't realize it's faster. He just thinks he sucks. And I'm like, no, dog, you got all the records. Here, take this. We'll go spoil farm.
Oh boy. That's a good place to end on. We appreciate all your. That was a good episode. That was fun. Cammy, I appreciate you recommending going into the questions right away because the questions dictate the topics of the show.
Yeah, sometimes it works like that.
Thank you at home for those of you who submitted your questions on Twitter. Again, all memes aside, we really are super happy for our good friend Mercules. We couldn't exactly, it was kind of like an awkward timing. He couldn't really tell you last episode, hey, by the way, I'm starting work at Bungie next week. But he finally got to announce it on Twitter. So if you haven't heard, Mercules got a job as a weapon designer at Bungie. So please go wish him well on Twitter. We're going to hear from him, I'm sure, with his hot takes maybe every now and then. But Godspeed to him. Drew's not here tonight. We haven't canned Drew. That kid's too important. That kid's the face of this podcast, all right? He's just a little bit under the weather right now. So we wish him a speedy recovery, and we will see him next time. And hopefully the next time we come back live, we'll have another spicy, fun guest from the community. And I want to give a big thank you to our good friend Ascended Nomad for agreeing to be on the show tonight and being the first, hopefully, of a couple special guests. We appreciate your perspective, and it was great having you on the show, bro.
Thank you. That doesn't mean you're not welcome back. It'll happen again in the future.
Absolutely. You're more than welcome back. Yeah.
Thank you. I needed that clarification, guys, because I know Fallout hates me.
Yeah, we're never going to see your ass again.
No, but thank you. In all seriousness, thank you guys for thinking of me and having me on. It was an honor.
God love you, bro. And one more time, we'll just go around the table, starting with Nomad. Where can the people at home find you if they want to look up your content or anything about you?
My name is Ascended Nomad. I call myself the Crucible Doctor. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch by the same handles. And we have a pretty kick-ass community that does scrims, improvement content. I don't have a Dalmatian making noise in the background, but we have a great time regardless of the status of our Dalmatians.
He's so cute.
God, that dog is so adorable.
Cute. But yeah, you can find me at YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and the Discord is discord.gg/SendNomad. Hope to see you there.
Lovely. Cool guy. Where can the people find you and your dog?
Twitter, YouTube, Cool Guy Games.
Beautiful. Cammy, where can the people find you?
I am Cammy. I'm the Crucible lawyer. No.
Yeah, lawyer like Better Call Saul,
Oh,
not
so good,
like
dude.
Alan Dershowitz or anything. He's more like Saul Goodman.
Yeah.
He's the Saul Goodman
All
of
right,
Destiny.
Fallout go.
I'm Fallout. You can find me at twitch.tv/FalloutPlays, youtube.com/FalloutPlays. And Drew is youtube.com.
Twitch.tv/Drewskis.
Yep.
And youtube.com/Drewskis channel.
Drewski's channel
yeah.
on YouTube.
And he has a Yu-Gi-Oh side hobby channel too.
Yes.
But you'll probably find that from the main channel. So if you're
And
a
he
Yu-Gi-Oh
really-
player, he plays
Drewgio.
He really likes ice caps. So go to his chat and say you like an ice cap. Even if you don't know what that is, go to his stream, say he likes ice caps.
I don't know what that is, but that sounds
Just
really
go
Canadian.
go there right now. Tweet it at Drew. Tell him he likes ice caps. Thank you so much for joining us on Firing Range. We will see you again in about 2 weeks. Stay safe and catch you next time.